Okay, so the principle of making a blood smear is you take a drop of blood, which is a mix of a bunch of different kinds of things, different kinds of cells, erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes, and then the fluid part of the blood, basically water with some small stuff mixed in. So blood is a mixture of a bunch of different sized things, and when we make a blood smear, we put a drop of blood on a glass slide, and then we smear the blood across that slide to spread things out. So what I'm showing you guys here is a simulation of that, except instead of blood, we're going to imagine the blood is this pile of a mixture of sand and beads of different colors and sizes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simulate spreading that across a slide. And we're going to see what happens as we take another piece of glass and we push the blood and spread it across the slide. So I'm going to see how that goes here. Get my slide in there and I'm going to smear it. Alright, so I'm going to back my video up, and you can kind of get a sense of what happened. So you can see the drag marks through the sand. So down here you see these drag marks. So when I was kind of plowing the simulated blood across the slide, you can see that things end up in different places depending on their characteristics. So what we need to think about is, in our simulated blood here, we've got out here, this would be like our feathered edge. This is the edge of where the blood smear was. So we kind of incorporate all this stuff out here as the feathered edge, the very outer limits of where things could end up. Back here is the body of the smear, so this is where we started our smear, and then somewhere around about in here would be our monolayer. All right, so we're just going to kind of think about what that means for actual blood, and think about what are the things that ended up way out here in the feathered edge, what determines what ends up in the feathered edge, and then what would be the nature of kind of being back in here. And we want to think about, when we're looking at a blood smear, which part of the blood smear should we look at to get sort of a typical view of what blood is like, because that's what we're trying to do with a smear. And you can do more than one thing with a smear, so the feathered edge may be useful for one thing, the monolayer for another, and the body of the smear may be for another, but we have to think about where things land. And so I wanted you guys to have a bit more of a visual about what determines where things land, so we can talk about it in the context of the smear.